So most of my BBEGs come equipped with a mute spell that more or less forces the PCs to sit through the dreaded 10 seconds of monologue I have prepared. Welcome to the Twisted Pint Tavern. Today we're visiting r/DnD to check out the answers to, do your NPCs/BBEGs break the rules? From the PHP, uncounted thousands of spells have been created over the course of the multiverse's history, and many of them are long forgotten. Some might yet lie recorded in crumbling spellbooks hidden in ancient ruins, or trapped in the minds of dead gods. Or they might someday be reinvented by a character who has amassed enough power and wisdom to do so. That being said, I don't put spells in the game without there being hard and straightforward rules for them. If a player somehow ends up with the spell, then so be it. Adding spells to the game is tricky because you have to keep it balanced in case the players do end up with it, but there are definitely some points where you can just have a, quote, plot spell that, well, furthers the plot. The rules are that the DM makes the rules. I understand being annoyed if NPCs or BBEGs didn't follow the rules of combat, but off-screen, there's no way I'm sitting down and figuring out how the bad guy built his flying fortress using 4th level spell slots and his yearly gold allowance. Yeah, exactly. There's story reasons why things just happen, and yes, you need to be able to explain it to a degree if the players ask, but you know how rarely players ask, oh, how did he get his flying fortress? They don't ask. They break the rules on screen. They're BBEGs because they've unearthed arcane secrets that would explode the minds of lesser men. It is silly to me to assume that bad guys should play by the same rules as the good guys. Dark Souls is a great game because the bosses have attacks and health bars far beyond the player, and the player overcomes them anyways. This concept applies to basically any video game. Devil May Cry, Resident Evil, Metal Gear Solid, you name it. It is impressive that we slay these foes because they're greater, not because they're equal. And then this reply, that last sentence, mwah. I agree, that last sentence sells it. It's impressive that we slay these foes because they're greater, not because they're equal. It's not fun to just beat down on someone the same level as you. You have to be challenged to feel rewarded. I struggled hard with the mindset that the rules for skills or spells that apply to the PCs and to monster stat blocks should also apply to everything elsewhere. In my opinion, this makes the game, even the world, lame and restricted. Once I started letting my BBEGs use magic that's not a spell off-screen or plant magical phenomena, my world and my characters blossomed and the players got more into the game. I don't know about your table, but I have a couple of players who know almost all the spells and class abilities and whatnot by heart. It made the game predictable and lame. But once they understood that the rules in the book are an abstraction for their own PCs, and not everything and everyone in the world follows those, their eyes lit up, because there are wonders again. Yeah, for example, there's like create undead and those spells that create zombies and skeletons, but there is no raise mass zombie horde 5,000 strong and attack the kingdom. There isn't just a spell for that. You know, that doesn't exist. And yet we let the BBEGs do it because that's kind of important. One of the great beauties of TTRPGs to me is the ability to interact with a secondary world in a consistent and creative way. If NPCs can do something, it's really important to me that PCs can, even if it's difficult, costly, and a really bad idea. I often throw homebrew or previous edition spells into exotic spellbooks as a reward, and I'll put the exact requirements of the ritual offering to Orcus in the book too, just for verisimilitude, and to see whether the PCs destroy it, pass it on to someone, or put it in a vault. I hear you that the PCs should be able to do most of what the NPCs do. I do agree with that, but again, if the PCs wanted to raise a super mega zombie horde, I would probably have a way for them to do it. It would just probably be campaign long. The assumption to me is these super powerful things that the BBEGs can do that the party can't are pretty much because the BBEG has just completed their own campaign and they're moving into the final battle with the PCs who are doing their campaign to stop them. Nope, I try to subject my NPCs to the same rules as the players. I also hate legendary actions and layer actions, okay. This one has 3 down votes, leading us to think that most of the users think that NPCs and BBEGs can and should break the rules. And I'm sorry, you don't like legendary or layer actions because it, like, let me guess, breaks the action economy or something? Tell me about broken action economies. When you have a party of 8 going up against a single dragon, I'm using the dragon example again, do you think that that is fair for the dragon? Yeah, the dragon has really powerful attacks, but if it only gets 1 run a turn, it's quickly going to be outclassed. Now let's take a look at some of the stories people have shared in the comments. Yes, the Artificer's wizard mentor had a neurodegenerative disease, and they saved her using Magic Jar. Recently, they had the mentor's soul take over an adult black dragon. She shouldn't be able to do that, but they spent so much time planning out every nuance, plus the mentor was once an uber-powerful wizard, so it happened, albeit they had to get it through a small portal. To do that, they had to gather materials to build a contraption that could concentrate multiple reduced spells into one super spell that would shrink it to the size of a dog. Also, not rules as written. But something went wrong, and now their Black Dragon mentor is stuck the size of a dog, also not rules as written. For now, until it finds a way to grow back to full size, and then remembers that it was once Sora Kell and becomes the BBEG. Maybe, haven't decided yet. Lots of hand-waving behind the scenes. But it's great! I mean, you're shrinking a black dragon through a bunch of, techniques and difficulties down to the size of a dog, and now that's a, semi-permanent thing. That's a great story! I'm a brand new DM, and I wanted an excuse for why one of the players couldn't explore the bad guy's house and needed to leave the place. Her backstory is that she was a minion of the bad guy and has decided to rebel against them. I pretended that there was an invisible magical barrier that made her lose focus and stop moving if she started to climb the stairs. Cue her first major motivation, becoming find a magic user to break this enchantment, despite me not having actually used any in-game spell for this plot device. So when she met the party, the brand new player, who was an artificer, said he could help. If he had a pearl worth 100 gold, he could cast Identify, so they could learn about the spell that I'd not actually created. It was a good lesson in remembering to think about a situation as both a planner and a reactor. I had to create a few opportunities for them to get a pearl and let them decide how to go about it. Buy one that was expensive, steal one, or go look for one in a sea cave, just to progress the parts of the plot I'd actually intended. That's a great way to put it. Think about the situations as both a planner and a reactor. If you were to come up across an invisible barrier that you simply couldn't move past, would you just accept that, or would you look for ways past it? Yes, my players hate monologues and hate allowing the BBEGs to say so much as a single word without interrupting or going, I cast Fireball. So most of my BBEGs come equipped with a mute spell that more or less forces the PCs to sit through the dreaded 10 seconds of monologue I have prepared. Oh no, 10 seconds of monologue! Our player group cannot withstand this! I just want to say, players, if you don't want the BBEG to have a mute button, maybe let the DM monologue every now and then. Current BBEG is a goblin army leader who disguised himself as a runner-up in a tournament which also served the purpose of fixing political distress between two countries. I described him as moving at lightning speed, taking out the opposing enemies in a matter of seconds. Then one of the players who was then in the crowd called BS and jumped into the ring to call him on his scam, saying that this is all staged. I just told him, he rushes at you, hitting you 12 times, dealing, and throws all dice on the floor for an insane amount of damage. The only reason he survived was because it was earlier established that the tournament is just for sportsmanship, and that all killed people would be protected by all kinds of runes. I mean, look, you jumping in and saying that it's staged because he's going so fast and hitting so many people, I get that. That could be a good in-character moment, but also a good learning moment when you get hit 12 times by the BBEG. See, I definitely allow my NPCs to break the rules. I mean, the rules literally say they're meant to be broken, right? I don't just throw endless superpowers their way, but if you're not homebrewing your NPCs a little bit, or allowing them to maybe cast an extra spell for plot, then you're severely limiting the effectiveness of them. I mean, just last night, my pirate group fought a dragon. Dragons are tough, don't get me wrong, but with as much prep time and resources as they had, I definitely had to tweak this combat a bit. It's literally part of running the game. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you've not done so already. And if you have any input on your NPCs, maybe breaking the rules a little bit, let me know in the comments. Thanks again, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Oh, and by the way, NPCs breaking the rules of D&D does not mean you can break the rules of my tavern, so don't.